So I just want to say thank you first off for basically having the camera in the correct spot. It's pretty darn close, close enough to be able to do a little analysis on it. So first of all, you've got a lot of really nice things going on with your swing. Some of this stuff just needs to be tidied up a little bit. I mean, my preference would be a little more bend at the hips, but again, it doesn't have to be my way or the highway. You can be like, in this angle here and you can still play good golf. But again, my preference would be to be a little bit more bent over, but let's see what you do after that. So this is the good stuff. So you take this club back and you get it to what we would consider about P2 or like the takeaway, kind of in this position. A lot of good stuff. Club face is square. You've got a little bit of turn, a little tilt. Like it looks like you're doing some of the right things. From a face-on view, I'm going to imagine you're probably a little more on your trail foot than you need to be, but like, let's see what happens after that. We take it up to P3, left arm parallel to the ground, and you actually have some pretty good depth at this point too. Like there's a lot of good stuff going on here. So depth being how deep the hands are in that, in relation to the body. Super deep would be way back here. This is appropriate. It's not just straight up and down. It's not in that direction there. So if I clear those lines up, there you go. Let's see what happens after that. And what you're going to notice is from this point forward, you basically stop turning and pivoting, and you actually just end up using a lot of arms to raise the club up in this direction. And, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it definitely needs to be tidied up. I would say as you go to hit this golf ball, what you're going to do is you're going to keep extending those arms up higher and higher and higher. There's, some advantages and disadvantages of having a high left arm. But for what you're currently doing, I would say this is not the place to be for you. I think it needs to be a little deeper. It needs to be a little bit more around you. Your hands and arms should probably be somewhere more in this vicinity, with that trail arm being a little bit more down. We'll get to that in a second. And I'm also going to assume, I know I don't have a face-on view, but you are like pretty hard into this trail foot here. Again, not the worst thing in the world, but like how far are you on that trail foot? I don't know. It's just hard to see from this angle. Then the next move you're going to make, let's change some colors here. You're going to just go out and down, and it's going to get really steep. And I'm going to stop you right about here. This is where I kind of can tell, like, hey, we've got a lot of weight sitting back here, and it's really hard to use the ground. It's really hard to, even try to correct this position here. So let's go one more frame. Good indicator of someone that's steep is where's the shaft in relation to the body at this position here, where the left arm is, again, parallel to the ground. Yours is going kind of right through your neck, or maybe even your shoulder blade. The best golfers will still have some depth here. Their hands will be back here, and the club will be intersecting maybe their low bicep or their forearm. So you've got a couple things going on. You're trying to add as much turn as humanly possible here to try to get that club back down to the golf ball. Not really an ideal way to do it. And lastly, your club face is fairly open now. So that's where it's pointing, basically straight out in that direction. That's just too open. There's a lot of small things going on, a lot of good things going on. But here's what I would say is, if I was going to change anything, and again, it's really tough to see what the lower body's doing. I'll just address this view. From this view here, if I were to get a ball, a balloon, anything, a Nerf ball, and stick it between your arms in here. And if I were to color that ball in, I'm going to do a little artwork here. And if the top half of that ball was yellow and the bottom half of that ball was green, there we go. If I were to make a backswing and the ball was in between both of my arms, the yellow side, facing, my head or the ball, as I take that club back, you would do a lot of good things to this point here. So you would actually see that ball. Let's clear up the lines. The ball would be in your arms. You would have the yellow side pointing up still, green side on the bottom. And then as you continue to make that backswing, you would continue to keep the yellow side pointing at the sky and keep pointing at the sky. But at this point, as we keep taking it back, now the yellow side's probably pointing down at the ground in front of you, somewhere in this vicinity. You just need to practice getting the yellow part of the ball, or the top part, to be more to the sky. It's going to get your arms to be more this way. It's going to get that right elbow to be more down or externally rotated. And then as you make your downswing, what you're going to want to do is you're going to try, instead of getting the yellow part of the ball to point at the sky, you're going to want to try to point it back here at the camera, or maybe behind you a little bit. You just need to retool and re-coordinate what the arms are doing. They're doing a lot, and I think if you can re-coordinate them, you'll get the shaft to be pitched a little bit lower. You'll come a little more from the inside. It'll tidy up some other stuff. But in a nutshell, that's kind of what we've got. mostly because I can't see too much going on from that side. So if you tidy up the arms, you'll probably hit some better shots. And again, you probably got some leg work and lower body stuff and some lateral stuff to do. But for the most part, from what I see, do some arm stuff, throw a balloon in there, a ball, smart ball, any of that stuff, and just practice, getting the arms to move properly instead of what they're currently doing. Thanks.